there's a very popular quote saying कि feed the winners and starve the losers, right? तो जिसको पैसा नहीं चाहिए उसको पैसा दो, और जिसको पैसा बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है पैसे की उसको मत दो.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching the North Star podcast. This is our 5th episode. Uh, Please, as always, we are open to feedback and would want to know your questions, and if you have anything which you have in mind, what kind of guests you want to listen to, and what fields interest you, right? Please do write down to us on our channel, Instagram channel, North Star Podcast. Today we have Vipul Raval with us. He was my senior in college at LNMIT Jaipur, and ever since he has worked on multiple startups since 2012 when he passed out. And recently, one of his startups got acquired by Perfios Technologies, and I'm sure there will be a lot of insights which he can give us on how to go about angel investments in India. So, hi Vipul, we'd like to welcome you to the North Star podcast.
Yes, hi, thanks. Thanks for inviting me, and I look forward to a great conversation.
So हाँ बिल्कुल, हम लोग अभी डिस्कस कर रहे थे, राइट? सो वी वांटेड टू एक्चुअली स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग कि आपने कॉलेज के बाद आई थिंक यू वर वर्किंग, राइट? यू वर इन अ जॉब, एंड उसके बाद
Actually, the fact is that I started working even before finishing. So our college allowed us a flexible credit system, which gave me the freedom that I could finish all my required credits in 7th semester. And I took the 8th semester off to go work in a startup as a business development intern. I didn't sit for placements. I didn't apply for jobs. I was clear that I wanted to pursue the path of entrepreneurship. And at that point, I didn't have any idea. I didn't have any team. So I felt it will be right for me to go work for startups, figure out the ecosystem, and then at some point in future, I'll start my own.
Got it. So I think you worked there, and then about end of 2014, right? जब आपने
so the first startup I started working in, I kept working for them for around 1.5 years. It was called Tech Buddy. It was into education, and I was the last employee. So when the founders decided to shut shop, along with the founders, I was the last employee to take that final call that okay, today we are shutting the operations. And then the next startup I started working in was called Satviko. It's a food brand, and it continues to exist. It promotes Indian food, yoga food is what the brand represents. And there I was the first employee. So the whole brand identity, creating the whole concept from scratch, and then taking care of growth, etc. So after having these couple of experiences, in 2014 I took the plunge and started my first startup called Bakery Bite, which was a marketplace for bakery items and for home bakers. So it was hyper local, plus it was home bakers, so you could order from a variety of around 2000 bakers across 15 cities. And we were getting good orders. In a span of 10 months, we were able to achieve like 500 orders a day. But the challenge was the unit economics was not making sense. So unless I was able to reach 4,000 or 5,000 orders a day, I would not earn any money. I would keep burning the cash. So very quickly I realized, जब तक initial days में तो it was like कि बस you have to do it. You don't care about earning money. All you care about was doing a startup, and bakeries were coming on board, bakers were coming on board, orders were coming on board. So those metrics were looking fine, right? But none of us, me and my co-founder, none of us were looking at the cash flows, the profitability. All those parameters were not even in our minds, right? And we decided to shut it down.
Yeah. So Vipul, before we go to your next startup, just since you talked about two of your startups, wherein two different kind of startups, wherein at one place it was your idea of sorts, and at the other place you were kind of involved with the starting team, correct? Founding team.
Yes.
So what was the key difference, wherein the idea is yours, and because you have thought it through and you have a certain mindset to go about things, or you work with someone and kind of adopt their idea and then work around that? So what was the key difference which you found there?
The difference, I would say, was mostly in terms of the passion towards the work. See, in the bakery bite scenario, the problem was something I had faced myself back in 2014. If you had to order cakes, and you had platforms like Food Panda and Just Eat, Tasty Khana that back then, and those platforms were not allowing you to choose whether it's a half kg cake or 1 kg cake, whether it's eggless, or what is the message on the cake. So those were the kind of problems which we were solving with bakery bite. And also there was no platform for home bakers to list their things, and they were very uh, their own network specific and kind of things, right? So that was a problem which we identified and we tried to solve it. Whereas at Satviko, the concept was laid by the founders, and my role was restricted to a particular department. I was not responsible for manufacturing. I was not responsible for customer support. I had a particular department, and I was responsible for marketing alone. The other departments, how good or bad they perform was not something I was directly looking into. Whereas when it came to Bakery Bite, then every department was my department.
Just to contextualize this timing, right? जैसे आपने mention किया, and I think when they were organically, कि उस time पे there were no Swiggies of the world, right? Especially at the
No.
scale अभी है. So a platform, right? Availability, which is discoverability as a problem statement, वो solve नहीं हुआ था उस time पे. Second, this is also pre-Geo. So
Yeah.
ऐसे connectivity भी जैसे अभी हमारे पास है, which we sort of it's a given at this point, वो नहीं थी. Right? So उस
Correct.
time पे like how did you navigate all of these basic challenges? Because जैसे आपने कुछ नया शुरू किया, right? So उस पे eyeballs तो होंगी नहीं. जैसे अभी स्विगी पे आप आज डालो तो any bakery would have visibility. So how did you work around that?
So we figured out a very simple growth hack that most of our bakeries were targeted in tier 2 cities, and most of our customers were in tier 1 cities and NRIs. So we identified a very specific market. We thought we'll give competition to Funs and Petals. They were giving you a cake for 2000 rupees, and we were giving the same cake for 500 rupees. Even, in fact, some better, in some cases, even better quality, because we were ordering from the best bakery near your house, right? So we got a lot of orders from people in Singapore, in US, who were sending cakes to their loved one in India, and people in tier 1 cities who wanted to send cakes to their loved ones in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Which is why I said that in a span of 10 months, we were expanded to around 15 cities.
So ये जैसे आपने niche mention किया, right? Which in hindsight is a brilliant strategy and clearly worked for you. But यहाँ पहुंचने के लिए, like, was this your first shot और वो चल गया था, या were you trying a bunch of things जिसमें से ये निकला? Like how did you arrive at this targeting?
Yeah, so it was the first strategy we had, and the only strategy we had, because as I said, the duration was very less. In a period of 12 months, we shut down the company. So from day one, we took this strategy that's our target audience. We kept focus on that audience. We devised our marketing strategies around them. The paid campaigns were targeted to them, and which is why we were able to get such good numbers.
When you started your fintech startups, how did you take those learnings from there, and maybe if you can expand on how did you get an idea how to get into the fintech market?
Yeah. So after we shut down Bakery Bite, and a lot of people have appreciated for that. Like, at the hindsight, I didn't realize that I was taking a bold decision. For me, it was just common sense that I'm losing money and I don't have more money and I'm not able to raise money. So let's just shut it down. But a lot of people have appreciated that people are not able to give up on something which is doing good, and they keep at it, and then very later on they realize that it was the right thing to do to stop much earlier, right? So fail fast wala logic use karke, we decided quickly shut it down. Now when we had to decide what next to do, so very interestingly, we in a period of 3 to 4 months, we started 4 companies and shut 4 companies. So what we were doing every other month was we were coming up with an idea, and now how to validate an idea. One is to keep doing research and keep reading about it, right? The other ways, we created a website. It used to take us less than a day to create a website, a couple of days to create a PPT presentation, and we used to collect the email IDs of the targeted customer for that business and try to blast emails and try to reach out to the customer as if we are a proper company. We didn't have any product. All we had was a PPT and a website, and we used to create visiting cards and go as sales. I used to start doing sales. without any product, without any thing. So that used to give me a real-time feedback of if I had a company, would the customers buy? So after doing 2 or 3 or 4 trials, the fourth one worked, which was FinTech Labs, where we pitched a digital lending platform as a service to some of the people who were doing FinTech startups. So our target audience was FinTech startups who wanted to do alternate lending and needed technology as a service. I only started the business after getting the first customer on board. So the learnings were that you need to have and always took care of profitability. You need to have unit economic sense. All those learnings which we had from the first experience, we took into account.
While doing like a successful startup and a failed startup, right? When do you realize, because every startup faces those problems and goes through that stage wherein you have to decide whether should we pilot into something new or what's going wrong for us, right? When do you know ki uh, this is the time to shut, as in we are failing and we have to shut down, or it's time to hustle more or try new ideas in the same company?
That's a very good question, actually. So there's no, because there can't be any rule for that, right? There could be people who could say that maybe persistence is the key, right? So if you keep on working on one idea for too long, you will turn it around and make it into a success, right? So persistence is very important in any startup. So, but at the same time, you need to know when to shut down, and there cannot be any rule when do you decide to shut it down, right? It's just case to case basis. It's your gut feeling as an entrepreneur. You need to take into account that for you, is it making sense? You need to look at the ecosystem, what all things are evolving around that ecosystem. Do you think that what you're doing, somebody can come and replicate that very easily? So it probably, and you will not be able to survive in the market for way too long, or the competition. So I could foresee Zomato expanding into ordering. When I started Bakery Bite, in fact, when I shut Bakery Bite, Zomato was still not into ordering. But I had been listening to what Dipender had been saying during his talks, and I knew very clearly that within a few months, these guys are going to come into online ordering and going to take a majority chunk of the business. So at that point, I felt that there's no point competing with somebody who has such a large target audience already with him. And I took the call to shut it down. At that point, I did not see that, even as I said, even after getting 2x or 3x increase in my numbers, I was not making unit economic sense. So in दोनों चीजों का combination लेते हुए, I had to take that call of shutting down. But if you ask me that can the same principles be applied to any other business, then no. For each business, it has to be a different call. It's the entrepreneur's understanding of the market on the basis of which he has to take the call.
Got it. And I think Vipul, I think just running your own thing, right? As you mentioned, आपने पहले भी contrast draw किया from the point where you were doing your own thing, actually doing your own thing versus उससे पहले आप किसी you were a part of another startup wherein you were managing one section, right? वहाँ पे ownership है, but overall नहीं है. So I think in a way, once you got acquired, that has changed back to it, right? How is that transition being post acquisition?
So the experience has been great, because even within this employment, I have been given a very specific role of international expansion and international markets. So I'm putting my energies, it's new and exciting for me, and I'm putting my energies towards that. But yes, I think after 4 years of running, 4.5 years of running bootstrap startup, it takes a lot of energy out of you. So I was anyways kind of feeling a little exhausted. So for me, being an employee was kind of a relief after a 4 year long. In fact, if you include the failed startup, it was a 5 to 6 years long struggle. So after that longer period where you are, as an entrepreneur, you are responsible for a lot of things. You are responsible for payroll management, accounts management, balance sheet management, apart from your KRA, right? So these are extra things which you need to take care of, compliance, etc. So when I had to give up on those side responsibilities, it felt good for the time being, because I needed a break. And when you are an entrepreneur, there is no scope of any break. You are on it 24/7, just grinding all the time. So for me personally, it was a good change.
So that can be a good like leeway into ki why does then anyone want to become an entrepreneur?
because it's satisfying at the same time. So, see, financial satisfaction is one thing, but the kind of content which I feel with myself, having been achieved, having been worked on something for 4.5 years, and then selling it off, and then seeing it prosper under the hands of the new parent, is something which is very very satisfying. So it's kind of risk reward, right? So obviously there was a very big risk which we took, but at the same time the reward was very very satisfying.
So as you mentioned, right, while like you're like at the helm of things, right, जब आप decide कर रहे होते हो क्या होना है आगे, right, the strategic goals, etc. And now in like a different parent company, वहां पे like are there conflicts कि आपको लगता है नहीं यार यहाँ पे तो ये करना चाहिए, but say the organization thinks differently, is like very candidly, does that happen? Because it just feels intuitive कि ऐसा हो सकता है, उसमें कैसे
Obviously
आप
ऐसा होता है. See, obviously ऐसा होता है, but you have to act maturely, and you know that you are not the CEO anymore, right? You need to know that you can give your suggestions, you can give your inputs, and those suggestions are considered, pros and cons are considered, and then a final decision is taken, which could be as per your suggestion or could not be as per your suggestion. But that those are scenarios which you have to just act maturely and say, understand that you took a conscious decision of selling those rights to somebody else, right? That final right of taking the final decision, you yourself gave that right up to somebody else.
Then is when that acquisition thing happens, right? Before that period, say 6 months before acquisition, is that in your mind as an entrepreneur to like get acquired or acquired, or is it something which comes to you usually, wherein then you start thinking ki maybe you want to scale the startup? How is it?
Absolutely. In fact, in majority of the cases when entrepreneurs get acquisition offers, even with good money, they don't take it for this particular reason, that they'll lose control and they'll lose the decision making, and then all the things. And in fact, it was one of the major factors while I was considering the sale of the company, right? Whoever I consulted in my mentor network or my personal network, they said it's good money, take it, right? But for me, it was not just about the money. I was giving up kind of my baby, right? So it was kind of giving up more than that thing. तो उस टाइम पे तो यही लगता था कि यू आर गिविंग मोर देन व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग, गिविंग अप मोर देन व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग, राइट? तो जितना भी पैसा दे दो उस टाइम पे कम ही लगता है. बट व्हेन यू टेल दैट amount to somebody else, he feels that, oh what, you're getting that much money, then just take it. It's better to, it's like sitting on a gambling table and you are earning and earning and earning, and somebody is saying, now get up, you have made enough, right? But you want to keep playing more. So it's not exactly like that, but that kind of feeling is what you get. But see, looking at hindsight, I like the decisions which I made, and especially given that just after our sale, the COVID scenario hit the business really badly. So it feels even more better that it was the right thing to do.
Is your family or anyone close to your friends involved in the whole decision making and your like what you are going through? Does that impact your entrepreneurial journey?
See, from a family and from a friend support point of view, it was never there, right? As an entrepreneur, they had invested so much in my engineering, and then I didn't even sit for placements. It was disappointing for them. And then when I was working in startups, जिनके उन्होंने नाम भी नहीं सुने हैं, and the kind of money which my peers were earning was much more than what I was earning. So it was difficult for them to even explain what I do to my distant relatives, like family members. They were not able to even understand कि ये कर क्या रहा है, right? Clearly, entrepreneurship was not a designation, right? So it was challenging, and only after I was able to get financial rewards out of my second startup, which was FinTech Labs, when we started making good money and I getting when people started seeing that he's making some kind of money, then they thought, हाँ कुछ अच्छा ही कर रहा होगा. So most of my family, it was difficult for them to understand what I do, and finally once they understood that he makes and sells softwares, to that, that's all they understand, right? कि ये software बनाता है and software बेचता है. Every entrepreneur has to be in that sense very headstrong. You don't have to listen to what people are saying, and if you have to listen to the people, you need to recognize who are the right kind of people to listen to.
In like just on the funny side of things, ये और जितेश और मैं भी काफी रिलेट कर सकते हैं because जब मैंने अपग्रेड ज्वाइन किया था, राइट, आई थिंक दैट वाज बैक इन 2017. सो मेरे घर वाले यही पूछते थे कि यार हम किसी को क्या बताएंगे, उनको नाम नहीं पता होता था अपग्रेड का. फिर अभी धीरे धीरे जब ब्रांड कैंपेन्स होने लगे, टीवी पे ऐड आने लगा, तो उसके बाद इट वाज ठीक है, अभी people are aware of the brand and that helps at least in like the internal family conversations.
That's right. In fact, that's actually important. So when B2B companies are doing branding, that's one of the factors which they take into account while doing marketing, that their employees' families should know about the brand. That will lead to higher employee satisfaction, you know.
As well as employer branding, right? I think people tend to कि मतलब मेरी कंपनी का नाम सुना है अगली जगह पे, तो I think people tend to join and I think conversion ratios better होते होंगे.
That's right. I think what I have come to realize, family do play a very important role. Because running a company myself, and when we used to have employees, like FinTech Labs at the peak, we had around 35 employees under us, right? So, and when we were taking into account employee satisfaction, the families played a very important role, that we have to keep their families happy. Diwali pe especially, we used to give them gifts for their families, because if your family is always at you saying कि यार कैसी कंपनी में काम कर रहा है, छोड़, कुछ बड़ी कंपनी में जा, the employee will always feel downgraded, which we did as entrepreneurs. We didn't care. Okay, you even if the world came to me and told me that I'm a downgraded, I didn't have that inferiority complex, right? But as a regular employee, if you are being told every day by your family that you are working in a small time company, then it feels uncomfortable for that employee, and somewhere it keeps playing in his mind.
The other segment that we wanted to get to was I think abhi July mein, right? Very recently you started your own investing.
Yeah, so
right?
I've joined as a venture partner. So Gamba Capital has been running since 2017 by Adit, and he's been running the show. I have recently joined as a venture partner, and typically the role of a venture partner in a VC firm is to help as an outside advisor, help in evaluating the startups, help in sourcing the startups and taking decisions, and also play some financial role there. So that's the typically a role. My day job continues to be at Perfius, where I take care of business expansions into international markets. But at the same time, when startup investments is something which really excited me, and there were a couple of reasons behind that. So first one being that as an asset class, it seemed like the right thing to do post-COVID, because the real estate market had taken a hit and the traditional markets were not performing really well. So as an asset class, only it made sense for me. And then given my passion for startups, it was like Sone pe Suhaga, right? So nothing better than that. And apart from that, my skill set or my learnings, I felt could be useful to startups who I'm interacting with and exchanging thoughts, exchanging ideas. So all those things are very fulfilling. That the learnings which I've had can be used by somebody else to their advantage. So these are the three reasons broadly which I felt that this is the right thing to do, and I started doing that.
So, but as an asset class, right? If you're comparing it, like if this is just so, for example, at least on the point one, right? If it's a return on investment point of view, then startups, like you can't really compare, say, a mutual fund investment or say a gold investment, if asset class is the definition that we're going ahead with, right? Because it's just extremely risky, right? I think at least from like our understanding of, like my understanding of things. How
No,
like on a scale
as I said at the beginning, right? It's a risk reward thing. So giving up placements and starting up was a risk, and I got the necessary reward out of it. Right. Similarly, making a startup investment is a risk, but the kind of reward which you will get will cover for that. I'm not saying always, but that's what you need to have, the understanding of this particular asset class. Unlike any other asset class, here you need to understand the end product, and you can influence the output as well. So if you can help the company in certain ways by making the right connections or introducing them to customers, or by certain ways you can influence the outcome of that business. So it makes sense in that scenario. But if you are a complete layman, let's say you are a government job employee, and then you are planning to invest in startups as an asset class, may not be the right asset class for you. It's not for everybody, but for anybody who's in the ecosystem or has seen things happening, has certain, or anybody who has basic business sense can invest in startups. Whether the business space makes sense, he has an understanding of the space, or he has understanding of the ecosystem, or he has an understanding of the technology. That kind of people can make investments into startups. If you're making an investment, you have to assume that 50% of the startup amount you are investing will go to zero, right? So if I'm investing, let's say 5 lakh rupees in 20 startups, typically that's what, at least I got the feedback from the ecosystem, that that's the right kind of allocation. If you are starting up fresh as an angel investor, that's the kind of budget you should have in mind, that I will invest 5 lakh rupees in 20 startups, right? So that will give you enough diversification, that will give you enough comfort for you to get a reasonable return on your overall portfolio. So out of these 20 startups, even if 10 go to zero, the remaining 10 will give you kind of returns which will more than cover up for the other ones.
Got it. And abhi tak, have you like in these past few months, have you invested? Have you like closed the process with somebody, or like what state are you in? Abhi, are you evaluating? Where
Yeah,
you?
we have closed around 4 startups in last 3 months. The deal flow is really good.
Now, as you said, you invested in 4 startups over like last 6 odd months. Um, how involved are you in their day-to-day operations and delivery, or are you only involved uh, with the numbers thing?
So as angel investors, we're not at any level involved in the operations. We are available as a guiding force, or when the entrepreneur is stuck at something, he needs some connects or he needs a strategic advice. So it's basically the entrepreneurs, how much they can take out of their angel investors, right? So whenever they need any help or they need a discussion to be held, a strategic discussion or an advice, they reach out and then we talk.
So that means it's a little different than the VC firm. Matlab, aren't you guys following up um, like the VC firms do?
हाँ, तो थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है as compared to a VC fund. Yes, we do get the monthly reporting from the entrepreneur. So if we feel that there's something going wrong, like monthly matrices, monthly or quarterly, depending on the business to business, depending on the stage of the business, whether it's a pre-seed deal or a seed deal or a pre-series A deal, we get monthly or quarterly reports. And looking at those reports, if we feel that there is something going very wrong, then only we would interfere. But typically what I have seen in last few months, typically the numbers are have not gone so dramatically down for us to interfere and ask the reasons. As of now, things have been going right. But if and when that happens, yes, we will ask the reasons and try to identify the problems and help them in identifying the problem. So at the stage which we invest in, our objective is mostly to help them in solving their problems for them to be able to grow their business better.
So we will, as आपने mentioned किया, right? A lot of these, the barrier for entry, at least from a capital standpoint, right? I think it's more than just dumb money in that sense of the word, because 5 lakh capital is something, the total addressable market or the total number of people who could afford that or even interested in that would be higher, right? And there has to be some strategic value you also bring to, say, the entrepreneur, right? When you are angel investing. So if, for example, any person wants to today, like listening to this, iske yaar theek hai, I am interested in startups. I have seen enough startups succeeding around me, and I want to do this, right? अगर ये thought है किसी के दिमाग में, so how would you suggest they go about it?
That's a very good question, and that also brings me to what Gamba Capital does. So we don't write checks of 5 lakh rupees. We write checks anything between 50 lakhs to 1 CR. So how we do that is through an angel list syndicate. For example, there is an entrepreneur who to raise a funding of, let's say, 75 lakhs, we will give them a commitment that we are willing to fund you 75 lakhs. We will put 10% or 20% of that amount from our own pockets. The remaining 80 to 90% will be raised through an AngelList syndicate, where people like you or people listening to this can come and participate and put in their 3 lakhs or 5 lakh rupees check and co-invest with us. So it's an AngelList syndicate where you will get deals which are evaluated by us, which are recommended by us, and then you take a case-to-case basis decision whether you want to co-invest with us on that deal or not.
Got it. लेकिन जैसे कोई first time कर रहा है, right? Like because for example हम mutual funds में invest करते हैं, so like there are a couple of things, right? A उसकी rating रहती है, value research की XYZ. So there's third party validation, so to speak, जो obviously startup में missing होगा, right? So it's actually stupid to even expect that. But
Correct.
कोई पहली बार कर रहा है, so what are the leading metrics, or like what factors should one consider in order to get into the right?
Yeah, let me tell you from others' perspective. So if you are an angel investor starting new, and you understand the ecosystem or you understand the business a little bit, what you need to do, you need to go and start following up, become an investor on the angel list, join a couple of angel syndicates. From those angel syndicates, you will start getting the deals. I would not recommend you going yourself and start sourcing from day one, because the quality of sourcing which you will get, unless you are a tier one person who has a very good brand recognition, very good PR, and very good entrepreneurs reach out to you themselves, you should not go in the market and try to do the angel investing yourself. You should go via somebody who has been there, done that. Like there are angel list syndicates like Gamba Capital is there. There are other. So what you need to look at is a couple of things. First one, look at the portfolio of that syndicate which you are investing in. For example, if you are planning to invest in Gamba Capital's deal, look at Gamba Capital's last 20 deals, which is listed on every syndicate's website, or they're also listed on the angel list. So you try to look at those 20-25 deals which they have invested in and see whether those are the kind of deals you like, and how's the performance of those 20. Have they raised follow-up round of funding, whether they have got any exits, etc. And the second thing you look at is the merit of the business. So with every deal which we list, we also write an investment memo. Investment memo will have why we have decided to invest in this deal. What is it that excites us? What are the risks associated with this? And what is the founder's background? So everything is covered in that investment memo. So it's a proper informed decision which you are taking.
And then how involved, or like how much can what can I ask later? Here 6 months down the line, do I need to ask you or the founders or what?
So typically you would ask us that what is the performance of a particular company, and we will update you that this is what the performance is happening on a particular case-to-case basis. And how this syndicate works, let me explain the logistics of that as well. So what happens is there is a SEBI registered angel investment fund, AIF, which is formed for every investment we are making. Let's say we have committed 75 lakh rupees to a startup, and we have put in 15 lakhs of our own capital, and the remaining 60 lakhs will be raised through 5 lakhs being given by 12 people each. Now these 12 people will give 5 lakhs plus we will put in our money, and 75 lakh rupees will be formed in a SEBI registered AIF. And that fund will sit on the cap table of the company. So typically legacy wise angel investments kaise hoti thi, that if you are putting in a 10 lakh rupee check, you used to get the shares of that company and you would sit on the cap table of that company. Whereas in this case, you're not getting shares, you are not sitting on the cap table of the company. For the startup, it's a much simpler process because it's only one person sitting on their cap table. So they just have to get one signature for any formalities kind of thing. And for you, it's easier that you don't have to use your DIN number on every other company, and you hold a part of that fund, SEBI registered fund, which is formed for that particular investment. And it also helps you in the resale. For example, let's say you can not sell if you have made an angel investment directly sitting on the cap table of the startup, then you hold the shares of that startup and you cannot sell those shares unless the founders or the everybody else sign off on that sale, right? Whereas if you're holding your AIF funds share of fund,
So that effectively means ki that AIF that holds, and I have a certain component of it, say 5%. अगर मैं चाहूँ तो मैं जितेश को वो sell out करके I can exit the investment without the startup actually taking an exit. Is that
Correct.
what I mean?
Correct.
Got it.
That's not
Got it.
something recommended. I would not recommend doing that, but that is something possible as a worst case scenario if you have to take an exit and get that thing. But for recommendation from my side would be that you should only invest in startups that pool of money which you would not need for another 5 to 10 years, right? So it's a long-term investment.
So that's actually one of the follow-up questions that was coming to my head. कि यार हम जब asset class की बात करते हैं, there's typically a horizon, an investment horizon related to all of them. So I think you answered that. 5 to 10 years is what we are looking at.
Correct.
At least
More,
like,
more optimistic, more optimistic people would say around 4 to 5 years, but I like to assume 5 to 10 years of horizon, because as a startup it takes that much time for them to be able to give any very very great returns. You would get reasonable returns in 3 to 4 years, but if you're looking for awesome returns, then you should wait it out.
Achha, for us and for anybody who's listening, right? Does an awesome result look like somebody who invested in Flipkart back in 2007? Is that what an awesome result, like what's your benchmark? Okay,
so the benchmark, so the benchmark is Sanjay Mehta's investment into Oyo, which gave him around 150x return. Right? So Ashish Tulsian's investments into Unacademy, which again gave him more than 100x returns.
उनका horizon कितना था? I'm not very familiar with these specific investments. कितना horizon था? उन्होंने कब किया था and when did they exist?
It was around 6 years, right? In Unacademy's case, it was less than that. In Oyo's case, it was more than that, and it's about, you need to keep participating in the follow-up rounds. So series, when these guys made angel investments, they were the first checks. And after that, after the first check, there is a seed round. After seed round, there is either a series A, series B. These guys got exit at series C, series D level, right? When the company is raising $100 million in funding, at that point, if you take exit, then it's a awesome return. More than 100x, anything which is giving you more than 100x return. So you're putting in 5 lakhs and you are getting 5 crores in return. That's an awesome return.
Of course.
And typically that's what happens. See, as I told you, you need to identify that one, although it's not so easy as saying identifying that one unicorn, but if out of your portfolio, one company gives you 100x return, you other 90, even if the other 19 shut it down, you don't care.
Right. I think it's a numbers game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
Got it. And आपने जो mention किया कि they have to, like, again you said कि उनको participate किया उन्होंने, like for example
in the follow-up rounds.
Right.
So it's not just angel investments, it's every VC investment that you need to reinvest in your winners. It's like there's a very popular quote saying कि feed the winners and starve the losers, right? तो जिसको पैसा नहीं चाहिए उसको पैसा दो, और जिसको पैसा बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है पैसे की उसको मत दो, because he's already starving. Don't feed him. And if he already has cash surplus, his business is doing really well, then put him more money, right? So वो एक लॉजिक सा है VC वर्ल्ड में, which उसके पीछे रीजन यही है that if the out of your 20 companies, only one of them is, let's say, really successful, or two of them are really successful, but if you have not reinvested in them, then the kind of returns which, even if the company has made a lot of money, you will not get that kind of return. So every VC fund, what they do is they put a smaller check in 20 companies. Out of those 20 companies, let's say 3 or 4 or 5 of them does really well, and then they put a bigger check on those winners.
As a venture capital firm, I think as an entrepreneur also, I'll be willing to offer them the equity, offer them the subsequent rounds. But कई बार ऐसा होता है ना कि आपने ठीक है, you needed, like as an entrepreneur, I needed money, I took it from XYZ person, but आगे rounds में I am not interested in offering my equity to that person because वो value add नहीं करता मेरे लिए. So that
those are the kind of Those are the kind of things which companies like Gamba Capital take care of. Like so that's the advantage of not doing an angel investment yourself unless you are fully aware about the terms and conditions involved around that, and going for with an angel syndicate who takes care of all the such things. For example, when we make an investment into any company, we take pro rata rights. So pro rata rights is pro rata right means that in every follow up round we would be allowed to make an investment to retain our percentage of equity.
Okay. And if I understand correctly, and like just by first principle, there could also be deals you could negotiate. Ki, I am investing X amount for Y equity, and I want an option to buy another Y amount at XYZ like amount, right? That's also something you could potentially do.
You can, but that's not as popular in the ecosystem as other things. So typically, the most popular thing to do is get pro rata rights in the follow up round,
which is maintaining your equity ki wo dilute na ho. Maybe procuring more is not necessarily very common.
Correct.
As the last question, we always ask our guests, how do you think, like, do you hear to any podcast, and how do you think like audio and podcasting will look like in like near future?
Yeah, so podcasting is something which is really interesting. I do follow Junior VC, a Junior VC which does podcasts, and I listen to that. And I have found some of the podcasts very interesting in general as well. And I do listen to podcasts. In fact, I do feel that it is taken. It's a new form of blogging. So I've started reading less and listening more, which I don't want to do, but that's the natural behavior which I'm observing in myself. I would prefer reading more, but just that the nature of things have become such that I'm observed that I'm listening more than I'm reading.
Why? Why do you think? Why are you preferring reading?
I would want to prefer reading because it, it's more intuitive. It's more when you are writing something, you are able to think a lot before writing, right? You are able to collate your thoughts and then write. While you are speaking, it's not scripted. You are just speaking on the fly, and then it's not that cohesive a thought as when you are writing. But I don't see both things will coexist. ऐसा नहीं है that anything will take over. One thing will be more than what. Just for example, if you see mobile devices will take over full screen devices, ऐसा कब से बोला जा रहा है, और tablets will take over laptops. ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ. You need a tablet, you need a laptop, you need a mobile device, you need all three devices, right? So just like that, you would need blogs, you would need written content, as well as you would need podcasts. So it's come up as a new method of communication, and I think it'll continue to exist. In fact, a very recent startup which I found very exciting in the space is called Zencaster. So Zencaster allows you to record high quality podcasts. Abhi, the problem is that most of these podcasts are recorded over Zoom calls, and the quality of audio is not that great. So what Zencaster allows you to do is that it records your audio locally. So when I am speaking, my audio is recorded locally on my device. And when you are speaking, your audio is recorded locally on your device. And then they take the video recording and this audio recording through the software. It's merged, and a high quality podcast recording is given as an output. So I found that very exciting space.
I think मेरा एक question था कि ये experience, right? Just the podcast experience. What was your experience like, and any feedback that you can give us? How can we improve? Like very candidly, how was your experience, and क्या हम better कर सकते हैं?
Experience अच्छा था यार. I think I liked talking to you guys. This was a very good experience. This was my first time being a guest on a podcast, so इसलिए I don't have any benchmarks or any comparisons to do. But overall, I had fun. I think from a feedback point of view, I liked that you guys had some concrete questions which I could give answers to. So वो अच्छा था. I had a great experience. Maybe you can add some exciting kind of elements into the podcast. वो कुछ rapid fire या फिर कुछ questions, first word would come to mind. ऐसा करके you can add a section to make it more exciting.
Cool. Thanks, Vipul. Thanks for spending time with us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
See you.
Bye. Cool.